Hi crafty friends, welcome back to Crafting with the Gringas. In today's video we're going to be continuing our little planner pouch. So for this stage we're going to be using our 2.5mm hook, and you can use the same yarn or a contrasting yarn. I'm going to be using this pink 3-weight yarn, the same weight as the yarn that I had, and I'm also going to be using some kind of elastic. I just found these little examples. If you have a fun craft store by you, there's a lot of colors and fun things that you can get as far as elastic, but I don't really have enough of any of these. I don't have a lot of fun stuff that I could use. I could use this. I feel like it's not really, I feel like it's a little too stretchy for this project, but that's up to you. Maybe if you use something super stretchy, you can put 3 strands just to make sure it holds tight. I'm going to be using these. I have this thin elastic that we got a while back for some homemade face masks that I just have it left over from that, and so I've just braided it to make it a little extra sturdy. So this is pretty sturdy. So I'm going to be using 2 strands of this. So I just have 2 of these. I've braided 3 strands a piece together. And it is a little bit thicker than the ones that you'd buy at the cheap face masks. It's thicker than that, if you can see. And it's fairly sturdy on its own. Okay, so if you're gonna have your elastic braided like mine is, you're going to want to sew 2 buttons kind of on the smaller side, okay, so that we can take this, and that way we can use this for other planners as well. So if you end up going through your planner or getting a new one, you can always switch out planners and it doesn't matter the size of it. So that's kind of fun. If you're going to be using a different kind of elastic, you can probably sew it together to hold it together. That would probably be a better option. This, just because since we've braided it, it has a little bit of space, like we can stick that button through the little braids if we pull it apart. Okay, and it will be sturdy enough to keep it closed, but it will also make it a little more adaptable for us. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get some scrap yarn. I've got this scrap yarn that I have from a tank top that I made. It's turned out really cute. We're going to want to push our pouch down as well as we can. And then right here at the bottom, we're just going to go grabbing these little loops, because we want a standard to go by so that we don't get uneven. So we're just going to want to go across as straight as possible. Obviously, if it's not perfect, we'll just want it to look as straight as we possibly can get it, whether it's perfect or not. Okay, so there's that's mine. Okay, and so I don't have to cut this thread and waste it. I'm gonna just keep it. So I have my ball hooked on one end, and then this part I'm just gonna leave it out just a little bit so that we can just keep continuing. Okay, and so from here we're going to count up 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22. Okay, and from here we're just going to go like we did at the bottom, as straight across as we possibly can. It's not going to be, it may not be perfect because our stitches went slanting slightly, but what we're going to want it, the most important thing is for it to be as straight as we can. Even if our count's not exactly the same, we'll just want it to look straight. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that there. That way we don't have to cut our yarn. And so we're going to continue and just go straight across. Okay, then we don't need our needle in there anymore. So now we can see clearly which stitches we need to be working into, and that's going to help us a lot. So now we're going to get a yarn that's either the same yarn or a contrasting yarn. I've chosen this one that's kind of a pale pink to go with my pastel rainbow pouch. Okay, and so we're going to take it from this corner, and in that first stitch we're going to insert our hook, and we're going to pull up that slip knot that we have there. You can leave that, and then we're going to go into the next one, and we're going to slip stitch. And so into each of these front loops that we went leaving on our pouch, since we were going, if you remember, we were going through the back loops only while we were making our pouch. And so right now we're going to slip stitch into all of those front loops. And I'm going to make mine to here, but if you wanted to make yours a little bit longer, you could also do that. What we're going to do is we're going to make little pockets for our markers or pens or whatever we're going to want to access the most. And then we can either make another section for markers behind it or a little pouch that's open. Okay, so that's up to you. If you want to do a pouch that's opened but you want it to be a little bit longer, you can just go up and make yours a little longer. For mine, I'm going to make more pouches to put hooks or pens or things like that in. So that's why I'm going to make mine here, but that's why we did all of it. You know what I mean? You could literally just go all the way up and down each of these. So that's why it's customizable. You guys can decide where you want to stop yours. Mine, I'm going to be stopping, like I say, right here, because I don't want my pocket to be that big. But we're just going to keep doing slip stitches. We're getting up to the top. So I am going to do my last stitch into that, the stitch that we have the yarn, our thread or yarn in. So that's my last stitch, and then I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to turn it. And for this step, we're going to want a stitch marker. So we're going to want to count up from the bottom. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, and this 15th stitch, we're going to put a stitch marker. Okay. So we've got our stitch marker there. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a half double crochet into each of these stitches. They're going to be a little hard to work into because they are slip stitches, and we all know those are kind of hard to work into, but it's just going to be for this first round. So we're going to do a half double crochet into each of those stitches until we get to the stitch marker. Okay, now I'm here at my stitch marker, and we're going to remove it. Okay, and now we're going to do a half double crochet. Instead of going into the back loop, we're going to go into the front loop only. So we've got this little V. We're going to go only into the front loop, and we're going to leave that back loop so we can work into in a minute. Okay, so all the way down until we get to our yarn, we're going to be doing front loop only. Like I say, it is a little even extra harder to just get that front loop, but let's just be patient with it. You'll see it'll be worth it. I'm gonna pass my planner over so that you guys don't have to hear that zipper pull on my table. Okay, just make sure that you're leaving that stitch. It's very important that we're only getting that front loop. Okay, we're reaching this end. And go into that last stitch and do a half double crochet. Okay, and then we're gonna turn and half double crochet in to that back loop, in the back loop of each of the stitches we're gonna half double crochet into. Sorry about that zipper pull. I realize that it's probably harder for you guys to see with that with my planner there. So I've just moved that, and I'll just try to hold it up a little bit higher so it doesn't drag so much. Okay, so as you can see, this is the last stitch that we have the back loop that we've left behind. Then the rest of the stitches, we went through all of it. So on that point we're gonna stop right there, and then we're gonna chain one, and then we're gonna turn it back around. Now maybe I'll grab that just for that little edge. Okay, and now we're gonna go through both loops. So for this step we're gonna go through both loops. We're just going to do a half double crochet into each of the stitches. Okay, when we're at the bottom, we're going to do a half double crochet through both of those loops like normal. And then what we're going to want to do is go into this next stitch where we have our thread running through. Okay, and so we're going to pull up through that one, and then we're going to pull through both of our loops on our hook, and that's just going to help us secure the bottom as we go. That way we don't have to sew it in later. We can just go securing it as we go. And then we're just going to keep doing our half double crochets all the way up until we get to the corner. And so I'm going to meet you when I'm here at the corner. Okay, I've finished my row. So now what I'm going to do is chain one, and I'm going to turn again, and I'm going to keep doing half double crochets until I get to the bottom. And at the bottom I am going to pull it over and stitch again into this next little stitch that we have here, so that we can keep continuing to sew that in as we go. That way we won't have to sew it in later. So I'll meet you down at the bottom, and then we'll add that little stitch again. Okay, so I'm here at this stitch. I'm going to do one more stitch here. And then the next stitch, instead of going through this first, I'm actually going to go over to this stitch first, and then insert my hook through my stitch. Okay, so I'm going to pull that up and finish my half double crochet, and then the rest of the stitches we can just continue going through normal. Okay. So what you also are going to need to consider is you're going to want to see what you're going to want to place into these little pockets we're making. So let's say you've got some little crochet hooks, or you're going to use this for a planner and you've got a specific pen or highlighter or something that you want to have, like you don't want to go digging through your little pouch for it. See, what you're going to want to see is how wide you're going to want your little pockets. So for this crochet hook, this pocket's perfect. But if I have a really thick highlighter, that's not going to be big enough as well, right? And so, well, we're going to keep in mind the size and the width that we're going to want. So if you've got something specific that you want to place into these pockets, I suggest you get it and you put it in there and you just see how big the item is. You could also make a pocket for 2 or 3 items. You're not going to want it to make it all the way open, because if it's all the way open, it's not gonna, like, the stuff's gonna fall out of it really easily. And so just let's keep that in mind as we are working on this. So when we get to this corner, let's chain 1 and turn, and then we're gonna keep crocheting half double crochets. Okay, when we get down to the bottom, if you need to go back, you can go back and rewatch that section, but you're going to want to grab this next loop right here, just so that we can continue to sew in as we go. We can continue to sew our little pouch together. So I'm going to meet you back up here at the top. Don't forget to sew that in at the bottom, and I will see you back at the top. Okay, I'm here at the top again. Okay, like I say, I'm going to make a pocket in the front, and I'm also going to make a pocket in the back to put another pen or highlighter or something in, or even a crochet hook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see where I ended. Okay, and I'm going to just go up. I'm going to take my hook off of my project, and I'm going to go through there, and then I'm going to put it back on, and I'm going to pull that up. Sorry, my yarn's kind of splitting. Okay, so that's going to create a little pocket right there. So I'm going to do half double crochets, but I'm going to go picking up that spot, that stitch there, and then I'm going to go through both. You're just going down a few, because obviously we're not going to go through both edges. It's just going to be a few stitches like that. Okay, and I'm going to want to go from this bottom point and count up again 15. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so that leaves me with one more stitch, so I'm going to go into that. I've got the stitch from my pouch and both sides of my stitch. Okay, that's the last one we're going to do like that. This is because I want to make another pouch for another thing. If you want to keep this pouch open for, let's say, stickers or like little post-it notes or something like that, you're not going to do this step of crocheting onto You're not going to do the step of crocheting onto that. Okay, we do want it to be, look, mine is going to be a little bit wider. You see that it's going to be kind of a little bit bigger. Okay, so for this next part, and you're going to do it the same. If you're not grabbing this, you're going to go through both of these loops, and on this side you're going to go through the front loop only, okay, and pull that through and leaving the back loop so we can work up another section. So we're going to close this off and add another section for our little bags. Okay, so that's what you're going to do if you're not going to make another pouch. If you're going to make a big pouch, you're going to do it like that. Since I'm going to be doing the 2 pockets, I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab both strands of that, and of this one I'm just going to grab that front loop. So I'm going to have 5 loops on my hook, the one of the working yarn. Then I'm going to have the loop that I yarned over to make a half double crochet, the loop from my pouch, 2 loops from that first stitch, and 1 loop from that last stitch. And I'm going to pull through all of those. Okay, and then on the end I'm going to have 3 stitches on my hook, and then I'm going to yarn over and pull through all of those. Okay, so that's how we're going to keep doing it. So we're going to go through that first stitch, the stitch on our pouch, go through all the way through both of those stitches, and go through that front loop only of that next stitch. Okay, so I'm going to pull my yarn through those stitches, yarn over, and finish off my half double crochet. And we're going to do that all the way to the bottom. Now what we're going to do is yarn over. We're going to go through that little one that we've got there. And it's kind of a tight squeeze, but we're just going to go through and leave that last little part. Okay, and then we're going to go working up these stitches. So this little stitch is kind of hard to get into, but we're going to get this stitch and half double crochet into it. And we're just going to half double crochet into each of the stitches that we went leaving behind. And so this is what it looks like so far. So we've got this little ridge, and so we've got one part of a row, and then we're going to go up this side. Okay, now we're going to go through that last stitch and chain 1, and then we're going to turn and then we're going to go back down, and we're going to work it exactly the same as we worked the last 3 rows. So we're going to do the same thing. So right now, as you can see, I have a little pocket here and a little pocket here. Okay, so that's about what it's gonna look like. And like I say, if you want, you can do the same steps and just not grab the line, and that's gonna keep, like, you can keep making the little pockets in the front, but if you want this to be a whole pocket, you're not gonna go grabbing all of those. The only ones you're gonna grab are the ones here at the bottom if you want it to remain a pocket. Okay, and the top and side stitches, we'll just leave those alone. Okay, so if you need to rewatch this section, you can rewatch. We're just going to keep repeating that until you get to the end, okay, of your zipper pouch. So I'm going to meet you back when I've got mine all completed, and we'll close them up together. Okay, so we're going to take our hook out and insert it here, and we're going to pull that on up through and chain 1. Okay, and then on this next one we're going to go through both our loops and we're going to slip stitch, and we're just going to go slip stitching through, just closing up. So you're going to do this step whether you're making a lot of little pockets or whether you would make a big pocket. We are going to want to close up. Okay, and here we're going to grab that loop, we're going to grab those 2 loops, and we're going to grab the 2 loops from this stitch. So we're going to start with a slip stitch. We're going to close all of this off. So we're just going to keep going and keep slip stitching, making sure that we get all of those strands. And so I will meet you back at the bottom of our little pouch. Okay, so I finished up. I've done my last little stitch. So we're going to want to weave in these ends, and now we can pull out the thread that we've been using. So right here we can just pull that on that side, and then we'll pull from the bottom as well. So we'll just pull that thread out, and then we can reuse that in another project. Right, okay, so here's our little pouch. We're going to want to weave in our ends. Okay, so I've got my ends woven in, and now we're going to need our elastic. Like I say, if you've got elastic like this, you're going to want to give it a few stitches to hold it in place. For me, I'm going to be using these little buttons. So what I'm going to do is unzip my pouch. Okay, and I've got my little buttons here. So I'm going to have the end that doesn't have the button, and I'm going to use a 3mm hook. So I'm going to insert my hook right here into the middle. Okay, and then I'm going to place my elastic onto my hook. We're going to pull our elastic through, leaving that button on the inside. Okay, and along the bottom as well. I'm going to poke my hook in right here, and then I'm going to grab the other end and pull that through. I've just put it like this. Okay, and I'm going to be patiently pull that through the hole in my crochet. So right now I have my 2 buttons here at the bottom inside my bag. Okay, and then on this side we're gonna we can wrap it around the back, which is where it's gonna be ideally. Okay, and now from the inside, from the top, about the same width that we put the last one, we're gonna wrap our elastic around our hook and pull that through very gently. And then we're going to do that. I'm going to do that in my other corner as well, and pull my elastic through. Okay, so we've got our 2 strands in there. Now we can open our planner, and we're going to want to place this onto whichever surface we're going to want it to go around. Okay, and on the inside we're going to pull these and loop our button through the braids. It's also going to require a little bit of patience. It's not hard, but it does require a little bit of patience to do. And this is going to make our little pouch adjustable. So if we want to take this and put it on a different notebook, this is perfect for school. It's perfect for crochet project notebooks. So you could literally just adapt this to go onto any size notebook that you wanted, as long as it was long enough. Okay, so now we've got our little planner pouch with our cute little braided elastics. This is what mine looks like. And like I said, if you want to add a third one in there, you can. I just wanted to keep mine simple so that it didn't take up a lot of the inside of my notebook, so I can still use my pocket. I can place something right here as well. So yeah, now we can just fill it up. I have a little mini geometry set right here, so that's gonna fit perfectly into my little pouch, as well as I can put templates, stickers, whatever I want. And then here I can just go placing my markers. Okay, and just go keep placing whatever we want to put in here. I've got this fun little eraser. Okay, so that will be the end of our tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this last couple days making this little pouch with us, and I will see you back tomorrow for a new video. Bye!